First literature review. Stock market definition. The stock market exchanges refer to the collection of markets and where regular activities of buying, selling, and applying of shares of publicly held companies take place. Such financial activities are conducted through institutionalized formal exchanges or over-the-counter (OTC) marketplaces which operate under a defined set of regulations. Structure of stock market. Represent ownership equity in the firm, which gives shareholders voting rights as well as a residual claim. Types of stock market transactions include IPO, secondary market offerings, secondary markets, private placement, and stock repurchase. IPO is a type of public offering where shares of stock in a company are sold to the general public on a securities exchange for the first time. A secondary market offering is a registered offering of a large block of security that has been previously issued to the public. In the secondary market, securities are sold by and transferred from one investor or speculator to another. Private placement, or non-public offering, is a funding round of securities that are sold not through a public offering, but rather through a private offering. Stock repurchase, or share buyback, is the reacquisition by a company of its own stock. Second history of Vietnam stock market. The stock market opened its first trading session on July 28, 2000 on Hos, with only two public firms. Refrigeration Electrical Engineering Joint Stock Corporation, RE, and Telecommunication Material Joint Stock Company, SAM. By June 2020, there were 380 stocks on Hos with more than 2.3 million investor accounts and market capitalization of over 2.8 quadrillion VND, $120.4 billion, or 57% of GDP. Another remarkable feature of Vietnam's stock market is its contribution to the process of restructuring the economy, becoming a dynamic and efficient capital mobility and allocation channel for the economy. Third, overview of Vietnam stock market. About market size. The Vietnam stock market increased sharply. Many records were set in the second half of 2020, when the COVID-19 epidemic was temporarily controlled. The market size increased by approximately 15% compared to the end of 2019 and is considered as one of the 10 best growth stock markets in the world. The size of the stock market until exceeds the target set by the government 2020. Along with that, with a strong recovery of the stock market and low interest rates, cash flow has flowed strongly into the securities investment channel. The market recorded an unprecedentedly high level of new investor participation in Vietnam history. About market liquidity. According to UK site Proactive, Vietnam's stock market recently set a new record with $1 billion in daily transactions, becoming the second most liquid market in Southeast Asia. In the first trading session of 2021, cash flow poured into the stock market when the liquidity reached more than 18,580 billion dong. This is a record liquidity in the past 20 years since Vietnam's stock market was in process, said Nguyen Minh Tuan, head of brokerage headquarters, Murray Asset. About investors in the stock market and activities of listed companies, compared to 2020. The number of listed enterprises meeting the information disclosure standards in 2021 will increase by 60 enterprises. 2021 is the first year the standardization rate is recorded when the achievement is over 50% compared to the whole market. SFC has reported to the Ministry of Finance and the Prime Minister to promptly deploy solutions and policies to cope with the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic on the securities industry. The SFC strengthens supervision, coordinates regular supervision, and promptly handles illegal acts on the stock market, contributing positively to the stable development of the market. For the first 5 months of 2021, in the wave of foreign capital flows into emerging markets, Vietnam, an emerging economy, is forecasted to become a bright spot, attracting the attention of foreign cash flows in 2021. Besides, Vietnam is likely to attract more foreign capital flows to the market to catch up with the trend of upgrading Vietnam's stock market from a marginal market to an emerging market. However, Vietnam's stock market still has potential risks such as hotspots in the U.S.-China relationship confrontation, rapid inflation, and central banks of major countries raising interest rates earlier than expected, reducing money injection. If the economy does not recover as expected, it will cause banks' bad debts to increase sharply. Factor affecting Vietnam's stock market. In Vietnam, the changing of macroeconomic policies often happens suddenly. This is affecting the psychology of investors, the stock market, and the general activities of the economy. Research shows evidence that a 76% stock price change by 5 statistically significant factors with 1%. 5 factors help investors to identify the factors of affecting the stock price and impact to the theory of stock market in Vietnam. We discuss about potential risk of stock trading in Vietnam. Liquidity is one of most important things. Model risk. Inflation risk and interest rate risk. The COVID-19 pandemic began to affect Vietnam's stock market from the end of January 2020, nearly a month earlier than the world. VN Index in just 2 months then dropped 33.51% to the lowest level in 3 years. However, along with the ability to successfully control the epidemic, Vietnam's stock market recovered quickly in the remaining 9 months of 2020 with a growth rate of nearly 60% since the bottom and an increase of more than 9% compared to the end of 2019. This is a spectacular recovery. With a strong recovery of the stock market and interest rates remaining at record lows, the market recorded the highest level of participation of new investors ever seen in history. By the end of November 2020, the total number of new accounts opened in the year reached 332,886 accounts, of which domestic individual investors opened 329,452 new accounts. Major contributors to the strong development of Vietnam's stock market include 8 industries below. The era from 2020 until the present can be described as a period of brilliant shine for the Vietnamese stock market, even though impact of the COVID-19 outbreak. After 20 years of operation and development, the stock market has achieved many new successes. The development of Vietnam's stock market has contributed to hasten the economic restructuring process on all 3 pillars. Reform of state-owned enterprises through equitization, divestment of state capital by transparent auction mechanisms. Modern and associated with equitization with transaction registration. The market will face the biggest challenge when the current state of abundant cash flow is gone, or even reduced by shock. In addition, other risks like liquidity model inflation interest rates still affect. future was challenged, but there are still positive factors that push the stock market to continue to grow. That's the end of our video about Vietnam stock market and how it impacted in the COVID-19. Thanks for watching.